Hey everyone, it's Dinah, and we are here for more of Ms. Marvel, this time onto episode number 4 of season 1. Last time we had a pretty fun one. We had a pretty fun one with a bit of the focus being on Ammi and Taisha's wedding. It was a lovely wedding scene with all the family and friends and everyone included, and everything. It was a really nice scene until, of course, Najma came post-betrayal twist and came with her little posse, and then, of course, some destruction and a bit of carnage and all this, that, and the other. And then the DODC showed up and arrested them and everything. And then Kamala and Bruno barely got away, so that was the whole thing. So then it was an episode with a bit of Najma's kind of backstory and her people's backstory too, like them coming from like another dimension and them being like a bunch of different them having been called like a bunch of different things in their time too, like some Urdu names, and then also like a clandestine being the one English word, and then Jinn being like another thing too. So that was the whole thing. So I think pretty much they veered. Like I think I don't know if they intentionally did it or if they actually. I don't know. But then it's like they pretty much did kind of veer away from even implying that they were anything possibly inhuman. They did kind of veer away from that entirely by saying like, oh, they were from like another dimension, which is powered by light, and that's where they get their power from, and that's why they haven't aged either. Like they've been on Earth like for 100 years, and they haven't really aged in that time. So they're kind of beings from an alternate dimension, and then the bangle kind of brings out the Noor, the light in you, and all that kind of stuff. So the bangle is connected to that power too, and then of course that means that there's Noor in Kamala as well. So then she's apparently the as of yet to be revealed to be an Inhuman. Because I think maybe this clandestine and engine stuff is actually more of like a misdirection on both ends. Like maybe Najma is lying to just kind of tell her some kind of false truth to get her to believe her quickly, or something. Or maybe it's but both of them are under some kind of like misconception that that's the true history, but then like some kind of Kree twist is going to happen in the end that's going to reveal like, oh yeah, you're not from another like dimension, but you're from like another planet. Or maybe it's like some Kree stuff came in and happened, and then the Inhuman stuff happened, and all those experiments and everything happened. So that's where the kind of true history comes in. So everyone's hoping it's a misdirection that eventually leads to Inhumans and Kree and everything. So I guess only time will tell. Only time will really tell. So no, I think I can't remember if there was actually any mention if Aisha was anything like them either, because then she could use the bangles too. I think Aisha was said to be the original owner of the bangles. I think originally there were two as well. Originally there were two, and they were both connected to the severed blue arms that we saw in Temple 2. So again, that was like the biggest kind of point out to the Kree and everything too. But then only one of the bangles was found. So then that's why the bangles are pretty much the key to getting them back to their dimension and everything. But then I think ideally like they would need both, and that would be enough, and it would work, and no harm done. But then with only one of them, there's not really enough power. So then the power that they actually would need outside of the bangles, as Bruno explained, what do you say? Like it would like destroy the city, or like no, it would actually like require the power of the sun that would actually kind of drain power and actually kind of use power and cause some kind of blowback in some way. So it would actually do more harm than good. So yeah, but with Najma, I think her kind of little kind of betrayal plot twist was revealed in the end when she's kind of actually she's been on Earth and in this dimension long enough, and she doesn't really kind of believe that her or her people actually really belong here. When she found out that Kamran had actually kind of accepted Kamala's request to actually get more time to do it safely, she went against her completely, and then she decided to attack the wedding and then attack Kamala and everything. So and then actually get the bracelet back for herself and do what need to be done. So. And yeah, we just kind of saw Kamala kind of being conflicted almost the entire episode with with Ms. Marvel, because she's unofficially Ms. Marvel. I think she's somewhat more officially kind of Nightlight as someone from the community dubbed her. So her actions as an enhanced kind of being, as a kind of superhero, are affecting the community in more ways than one, and in some of them kind of leaving the community, and like her kind of her two worlds kind of in the slightest of oppositions towards her actions and her new persona as well. Like actually thinking like, oh, maybe this person's doing more harm than good. Actually good, like gaining the attention of the DODC and having them barge into the temple, into the mosque and everything, and actually causing disruption. Actually kind of attempting to to search the property without a warrant and doing all sorts of stuff and everything. And when stuff like that already happens on like a bad enough scale, and now all this new attention's coming in, so I think it kind of left Kamala kind of feeling conflicted and wondering if she was actually doing the right thing and doing a good thing. And then good is not a thing you are; it's a thing you do. So it was a very nice way to actually plant that quote and to actually kind of had to actually formulate that scene and actually kind of have that add to Kamala's kind of continued growth as this new kind of superhero and actually kind of have her kind of decide exactly how she wants to operate and stuff like that. So that was cool. And then yeah, Nakia at the very end, Nakia found out she saw Kamala using her powers at the end to save Bruno and her, and then she actually found out and everything, and then that was a kind of a shock too. So God knows how that conversation's gonna go. But I actually don't know if we're gonna see if we're gonna be like at home in Jersey City for this episode, because I think the ending of the episode did literally kind of show Nani calling her and actually inviting her and her mother to Karachi to, you know, because she had some kind of stuff to tell them and she had some news to tell them and everything. So, you know, I feel like maybe either the beginning will be in Jersey City, in Jersey City, or maybe the entire episode is actually going to be over there in Pakistan. So it'll be cool if we can actually if we can actually have them going abroad. And I mean, obviously we'll have to see them, because then if it's that important, then they got to show it. So it'll be cool to see them actually going abroad and actually kind of showing off some history, both specific to the Bangals, maybe even actually kind of maybe some history to the country too, like maybe some history to to do with the partition and how families were separated and it was all kind of chaos and everything. So if we get that kind of an episode, then that would be cool too. So then I think that kind of does raise the question of if the Narkia stuff is going to be addressed in I think probably better to actually do it properly than to do like a little bit of a snippet just for the sake of it in this episode. So probably better to actually kind of, and maybe then to actually kind of giving Kamala and Narkia a break to actually process things too. Maybe then Kamala being away might actually give Narkia the space she needs to actually properly figure out. Maybe even actually talk things over with Bruno too. Maybe she can actually talk things over with Bruno, because then Bruno's known all this time now, so he can kind of help to kind of stabilize her and actually kind of help her understand things, and you know, let her know that Kamala wasn't trying to hurt anyone or do any of that stuff, and she definitely wasn't trying to lie to Narkia or anything. So hopefully in good time, conversations that need to happen will happen. So yeah, that was that. But yeah, for the most part, I feel like that is pretty much it. I think Narkia made it onto the board too, so that's how she was able to actually kind of help deter the DODC too, so she made it onto the board, so that was a fun little tidbit too. So she's making waves and making progress in her life and in her community, so that's really fun. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I kind of have, besides some other kind of tidbits in the episode too. So yeah, on to episode 4 of Ms. Marvel. Let's go.
Over here.
Oh, friends? Relatives? Both?
Hi.
Whoa,
Hi.
a flower necklace. I forgot what those are called.
You remember your cousins, right?
I don't know why I thought friends and... Well, I said relatives. Yeah. Cousins. Nani?
Kamala.
Nani!
In the middle of the night, you should be sleeping.
Come on. I'm just coming from a party. Welcome home, baby.
They did a great job too with the casting, yeah. And they actually look so much like
Your
Ammi.
skin is so dry. You again on one of your strange diets?
Perfect. The perfect Nani. The perfect Nani. Yeah. Yeah, first time in Pakistan, I think. Yeah, I think she pretty much confirmed on the plane. Please tell me they actually filmed this on location as well. Like, I feel like if they're going abroad, they really have no choice but to actually film it on location, right? Like, the Pakistan scenes are actually in Pakistan. Although, I mean, to be fair, if it was in North India, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference either. So, you know, even if they filmed some stuff in North India, then I genuinely wouldn't be able to tell. So. Magnum, doggy, dog, dog, they got a dog. Oh, they got such a beautiful golden dog. Magnum, oh, God. Shoes off, as always, of course. Step 1, yep, and step 2, sliding on the floors. What are those? Oh, okay, there's people with people with bags on their head. For some reason, I thought the bags were heads too. I thought, what's she doing there?
This is my Ammi, Aisha,
Oh.
your great-grandmother. That when the bangle was used the last time, it saved my life.
Like the Trail of Stars.
Trail of Stars has to be the power thing from the bangle, right? That looks like a cosmic Trail of Stars.
If you have lived like I have, lost what I have, you learn to find beauty in the pieces.
Oh. It's a beautiful painting of Aisha there.
I can't believe you have to order off the
Put it on
platter.
these fans. Oh, me every time I'm in India. That's just me every time I'm in India. Oh, more relatives. Of course, there's always more relatives.
This is my daughter, Kamala.
Well, that's quite Mani, madam. She always was a bit of a rebel.
A rebel?
We are sitting outside.
Me, a rebel?
Yeah, it's not the temperature. It's
Pani puri.
Spicy.
You know, warn me this thing was death.
Yeah, spicy food as well. Yeah, humidity and spicy food. Really unfortunate mix. Yeah. Damn, so many dresses. 500 rupees.
Come on, is this not exotic enough for the ABCD's Instagram? American born, confused, they say.
Oh gosh, American born confused, I see.
You like it?
Good old Polaroid.
Only 1500 rupees.
1500 for a Polaroid?
Honest money for the tourist, no?
Yeah, you know what?
Pretty sure it's because she's a tourist that you're charging her that much, yeah.
If you
And then left again.
Left
One
and
more
left
left,
again.
and then right. Little bit right. Okay?
A little bit right? How do you turn a little bit right? I guess, like,
Yeah,
that way, because for right would be fully that way, so just like the right corner, I guess. Well, it worked. It worked. Yeah, Karachi station. Oh, wearing the mask. Yeah, oh, that looks so good. Looks so good, yeah. Perfect way to hide who you are here too. There's an Ant-Man painting graffiti on the wall. That's so cool. Start small and still be larger than life. Oh! Whoa, a throwing knife. Oh. Oh, oh, he can traverse the Noor. Oh, jeez. Oh. Who is he?
Do all masked Americans have superpowers?
well, how do you know I'm not Canadian?
Oh, for one thing, you're actually fighting him. Oh. Well, then there's Wolverine.
You're
He's
wearing
Canadian.
a shirt
So.
that says New Jersey.
Yeah.
What is this look?
They don't explode or anything, do they? Oh boy. But hey, it takes practice. It takes practice. She's barely used to her own powers.
Where'd you learn to jump like that, Ninja Turtles?
Where'd you learn yours, huh? Donkey Kong?
That's a good one. Oh. Oh.
How did you get it from Aisha?
How do you know
Okay,
that?
this guy has answers. This guy might just have answers. This guy gotta have
Come with
answers.
me if you want to live.
What?
Just kidding, I've always wanted to say that. But really, we should go. There's so many-
Hey! Seize the moment. Seize the moment. Even if it's cliche and kind of cheesy, seize the freaking moment. I mean, he does look like exactly the kind of person who would say that too, yeah. Whoa, secret room! There's a secret room. A secret room with a secret door. Or a secret wall,
Welcome
rather.
to the Red Daggers.
Red Daggers.
Perhaps we can teach you to open your eyes.
Why is the hot and sour soup so red?
That's the color it's supposed to be. Did you American find a way to whitewash the Chinese food too?
Was it difficult finding a scarf long enough to cover that big mouth of yours?
The clandestines are not like the jinn you've heard about in stories or in religious texts. I mean, if Thor landed in the Himalayan mountains, he too would have been called a jinn. There are many dimensions around us that we cannot see. This is just one of them.
So is this like multiverse stuff going on then? Are they doing multiverse stuff?
What is this?
It's connected to our world but hidden. Behind the veil of Noor that separates our world from theirs.
The Veil of...
Noor is the energy source of that realm.
If the clandestines use the bangle to tear down the veil, they'll unleash their world onto ours. Until there's nothing left of it.
Oh, it just ravages. Like an incursion almost like an incursion. Yeah, it just ravages everyone. It takes over rather. I think maybe it takes over.
It says what you seek is seeking you.
Ever
Is
mysterious.
that like an important message?
DODC Supermax Prison. Oh, Supermax. Oh, I think I recognise that place. That's where that showed up in the in She-Hulk trailer. Whoa. Okay.
He made his choice. Now he has to live with it.
She's leaving her
get the
son
bangle.
behind.
Sorry.
Wow, leaving him behind because he chose to warn Kamala.
My passport is Pakistani. My roots are in India. In between all of this, there is a border marked with blood and pain. People are claiming their identity based on an idea some old Englishmen had when they were fleeing the country. How is one to deal with that?
You like biryani?
Yes.
Oh god, biryani! Oh, I am so. Oh yes, Kamala, you are in for such a fucking treat. Oh, biryani's the best. Oh, I am so happy right now. I'm actually so happy right now. She's having biryani. It's like, oh, it's the best. It's actually the best. It is the. Oh god, it's the best.
Is it spicy?
Try karo.
It can be, but it's a good spicy. It's a very good spicy. It can be sometimes. Yeah, it depends on how you cook it, but oh god, it's so good. God, biryani is one of the best gosh, it's so good. It's actually so good. So good.
You know, you liked them as a child. So I just kept them around just in case you came back. I may have eaten most of them around here.
Oh, who can blame you, Nani? Who can blame you?
बैठिए मम्मी.
ये मसाज है और some plan to take out your frustrations on it.
Mummy. I was continuously being shunned by the neighbors because of my crazy mother and her wild theories. And even after Baba left you, you continued to cling to these fantastic theories. You had fun with your cousins.
You know what? There could be some. Honestly, there could be some shared ancestry. Who knows? There could honestly be even the slightest bit of shared ancestry. Oh, these are hard toffees, aren't they? These are hard toffees. Yeah.
You need strong teeth.
You gotta suck them, let them melt. Yeah, these are the strong and hard toffees. Yeah.
So you always remember where you came from. You're not alone.
Oh, she's a cool little jacket.
Surprise.
Najma. Oh god, oh, we're losing one lead, aren't we? We're so losing one lead. We're definitely losing one lead. Oh, thingy, taxi chase. Tuk-tuk chase, a tuk-tuk chase. Oh, not the best way to drive. Not the best way to drive. Oh, ramp. A ramp. Oh, yes. Okay. Ramp. Yeah, it works. It works. It works. Oh, are those microwaves or what? I have no idea. They look like microwaves for like a split second.
Oh my god, we're not gonna make it!
Oh. Oh, nicely done. Ish.
Get yourselves to safety. I'll lead them off. Come on.
No, we're losing one lead. We're so losing one lead. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh. Oh. Ooh. Oh, that was a good hit. That was a good hit. Whoa. Oh, nice. Like you can climb. Yeah. Climb up, right? Oh no, it's dropped down. Oh, I knew we were losing Waleed. Oh, I knew we were losing Waleed. Oh. Whoa. Oh.
We have to help him.
Kamala, it's too late. We have to go.
Gave his life to save them too. Which I mean, I guess he had to do to get them the further they could. Will you stand and fight? You stand and fight. Oh, nice. Oh, okay. I was wondering the questions they were coming up. Yeah. Oh, nice flips. Nice flips. Oh. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, she's on the train tracks. Oh, okay. Oh, did she? She's not back in time, is she? Is she gonna help Nani find her way back onto the train? Going to Karachi. So many people. So many. That's the end. Wow, that is a very interesting place to end it. That's a very interesting place to end it. Such a fun episode, so steeped in kind of background and kind of, you know, like displays and rep and all that kind of stuff, and it just that actually, I'm not even actually gonna like deny that actually kind of warmed my heart. That actually made me kind of warm and fuzzy and happy and everything. It's not something like I've kind of ever really thought about, like, in like because I think I've never really like fully expected like Hollywood like a Hollywood project to actually do that, like Ms. Marvel going this far, this length. I mean, because if you think about like the first couple of episodes alone were so kind of like well what they were, but then with this one actively going to Pakistan, and then like the actual kind of showrunners and everyone involved actually utilizing that to their full kind of potential, and then to their full ability to really kind of show off like that kind of culture and that kind of history and that kind of country and everything in as much of its kind of warmth and glow and light as it possibly can is a really nice touch to see. And I think because I've never been to Pakistan, and because I'm not really kind of sure exactly like how different from Pakistan how different from India Pakistan is, because again, like the whole the whole partition thing was the fact that like it all used to be India, but then it got partitioned off into India and then Pakistan on the other end, on the other side too. So then not really sure like exactly how much of that kind of culture and how much of that kind of stuff has changed, like exactly like because again I ended up actually recognizing and actually kind of like actually visually kind of recognizing and actually kind of identifying with like a lot of what was shown in this, and even in this one too they switch. I think for the most part they actually kind of switched from Urdu to Hindi as well. I mean I still can't speak Hindi, but I think I can very easily like thanks to Ms. Marvel I can actually kind of somewhat like notice or Urdu if I actually kind of heard it in real life. But then with the Hindi, I recognized that right off the beat. Didn't know what they were saying. Like, you know, if it weren't for the actual subtitles, I genuinely would not know what they were saying. But then the actual pronunciations and the words and everything definitely kind of started to kind of get like a hint to those and everything. So seeing that kind of stuff was really cool. But a Hollywood project itself actually kind of going this far to these lengths, I think again it's because of everyone involved, everyone knowing like exactly how important it is and how to show off in the right length. Like they're not just kind of like doing it just for the sake and stuff. Like it actually kind of looks good, and like the montages look good, and even the kind of normal casual stuff looks good, and even like Kamala being there. I think what the cousins called Kamala too, like an ABCD, an American born confused Desi, because then it was her first time in Pakistan as well, so then she was just kind of completely pretty much kind of new to this kind of environment and this actually being kind of home where her more kind of ethnic home is and everything. So like an abundance of cousins and aunties and uncles and what have you, just you look at almost every corner and there's like a cousin waiting to greet you and everything. So that much was actually like this seeing that happen from the landing. I was like, okay, yeah, this is something I can definitely kind of actually kind of be like, oh, this definitely happens. This definitely happens, and it definitely has happened as well. So that was cool. And then of course Nani was the greatest. I want Nani to stay around in the series forever and ever. She's just the absolute best Nani in the world. So there's that. But yeah, there was that, and then of course even them going to the boat club. The boat club looked fancy as hell. So I mean, I've never been to a boat club, so I didn't even know what it. I mean, I don't know if they're actually if they're literally just riding on boats, or if they're actually like. I mean, I've ridden on a boat in India before. That was a really nice time, but don't know if if it's like an actual club where they routinely and weekly kind of ride boats, or if they actually discuss boats or what's happening. But I think they're probably it's a boat club, so they're probably on a boat and eating food, and everyone was dressed up all fancy. It was like a super duper fancy kind of type of thing, so that was cool. And then one random auntie comes out of nowhere and everything and just recognizes Kamala and be like, I think she probably talked about how like, oh, you're so tall, or you're so like this, that, or the other. And then literally the only thing that would have made that better, the only thing that would have made that better and more identifiable was like if the auntie actually said, oh, I remember holding you as a baby, do you? And then Kamala being like, oh, you do? No, I don't, I really don't, because that is, I mean, I feel like that's almost like a universal thing. Like you'll always kind of meet like some relative who will be like, oh, I remember holding you when you were a baby and you were this small and you were this, that, and the other, and then you'll be like, oh, great, I have no recollection of who you are. For all I know, if I saw you on the street, you'd be a stranger. So yeah, that was the only thing that was the only thing I feel like they could have actually made me kind of feel like the kind of secondhand kind of awkwardness that could have come from that. But I think for the most part, again, I think especially like being in Kamala's boots too, I think they definitely kind of nailed what it feels like to actually kind of be born outside the country, be in America or be in the UK too. Like in my case, being in the UK, like they actually kind of nailed how it feels like being born and raised in the West, and then going back as well, and actually kind of going back like even from, because I mean this is clearly going to be a visit. It's definitely just going to be like a short visit for her to kind of see relatives and study her history and everything, and then after that she's going back to but yeah, I think the ABCD thing for Kamala, actually that is going to stick in my head. That is going to be stuck in my head, and I'm just going to probably can even actually kind of paraphrasing that for myself as well. But yeah, that is just, yeah, it was great. So I think I actually seeing her discovering Pakistan and actually kind of like being there and everything for the first time too. I think even like I think actually taking it all in and actually kind of being able to kind of integrate and everything. And she has been raised pretty explicitly Muslim, and she's been raised with her mother and father who haven't really kind of let their culture go. They haven't really kind of let their country or their culture or their kind of history or their kind of heritage or anything go there. They're like, first episode alone shows that they haven't really kind of like raised her in like a very Western way. They've actually raised her in a way that they think is right with the traditions and the cultures and all the other kind of, you know, baggage that kind of comes from, maybe because of that there's actually kind of like somewhat more for her to kind of identify and actually kind of recognize in Pakistan than anything else. I think that kind of stuff, seeing her kind of actually discovering the country itself and the people, and I think the environment too. I think again, even if they did like film some of this in North India as well, like just anywhere in the north, then I feel like it would probably, I feel like it might like it might not be like maybe like the worst thing, because then I think location like can like more often than not kind of depend on like, you know, like what kind of location provides the best kind of environment for you, and like also like tax stuff and even like government legality and everything like, so like you like they also definitely have to go with whichever option will actually kind of end up suiting them more in the end too. So I think because of that, if they actually did kind of go for like some locations in North India to pass off as Pakistan, then it probably wouldn't be the absolute worst thing. Which I think for me kind of like ties like probably unintentionally, but I think it does kind of help to tie into Nani's kind of identity kind of crisis like kind of type thing she was having, like where she said like her passport is from Pakistan but then her roots are actually in India. She's actually Indian by birth and by kind of history and everything. So, and then I think even then like the whole partition thing, and then the whole partition and the border is actually like it's like a history kind of soaked in blood and pain and all that kind of stuff, like families being separated and even people being separated, and just like it all just being like a nightmare and everything that she actually explicitly kind of faced and experienced as a child too. It's something I've thought about. I think I've never really kind of like actually mentioned it to anyone or actually kind of said anything about it, because again it's like you've spent like over 10 years actually growing, like actually watching the MCU kind of build itself in the way it has, and it's been so white centric and like America centric and just kind of like that kind of, you know, it's been so central to those kinds of like faces and characters and stories and everything, and then over time like in just the past few years we've had Black Panther, Shang-Chi and everything actually kind of daring to kind of break down those barriers and actually daring to do something a bit different and kind of actually showcase more cultures and showcase more like stuff that's actually not so Western and not so white and all that kind of stuff. And even Shang-Chi made me feel so happy too, like even like me just not being Chinese, but then still Shang-Chi was still such a bright and such a new and such an original kind of thing to see. It still, to this day, just still makes me hooked to just watch anything from it and everything. So actually seeing this Marvel, it genuinely does make my heart just kind of pound and actually kind of, you know, makes me feel things, and actually that does actually make me happy to kind of see something I recognise, something I've actually kind of and like even stuff I've heard stories about, and even stuff I actually kind of experienced being myself, actually going to India and everything. It actually kind of does kind of feel good to be able to see that on screen, to see that kind of being kind of produced by like a, you know, being like being produced by a company like Marvel, and them kind of not really but kind of being afraid to kind of shy away from this, or actually kind of being willing and capable to go this far, and even actually making sure that everyone actually involved in this is also from that, like as much as possible from that kind of side of the world too. So I think it definitely can mean a lot. I think you can easily kind of like be kind of anti-capitalist and anti-corporation like as much as you want, but then I think it's still okay, and it's still kind of like I feel like it at least can and should be okay to let yourself be happy with what they show you, at least like every once in a while and everything. So, you know, I am. I think I can definitely kind of watch this episode again through and through like in and out of edits, and actually be happy with what they're showing and what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing and everything. Just, you know, it's a really nice thing to see. So that was good. And of course, I gotta mention the biryani. You cannot go wrong with biryani. You cannot. It is impossible to go wrong with biryani. I mean, unless you're allergic to something in it, then obviously you either don't eat it or do a substitute. I don't know if you can actually substitute. I don't know if you actually can substitute anything with biryani, but you know, biryani you just can't go wrong. If you're introducing anyone to Desi culture, biryani is where you gotta go. That is where you have got to go. That is where you gotta go. It's just, The only thing that I haven't actually seen it before was them eating out bags. I mean, I think I'm kind of assuming that was like them doing like takeaway and stuff. So then if they get in bags, and it's like probably like a snack size or something. So then that then kind of makes sense. I mean, snack size biryani honestly sounds great. That sounds really great. So that was the only thing I actually wasn't used to seeing. But then the fact that they actually included biryani and had them eating biryani, even Kamala kind of asking like, oh, is it spicy? Because then there was that scene where everyone else on the boat was normal, but then she was just like sweating beads, and she was, I think, because then I wondered, oh, it must be the heat and the humidity. But then if that was the case, then I felt like, she could have easily been sweating like for the rest of the time throughout the episode, and then that would have been like a recurring thing. But no, it was only when she was on the boat eating the food. So then for her, she might still. I mean, but then she's in America. America is also hotter as well. America, and actually, I think probably in like certain places in America too, just by kind of default kind of hotter and a lot more humid. So then she's already been raised in American heat, but then Western heat and Asian heat are also two kind of slightly different things too, I think, fair to say. So I think maybe then in that case she's very kind of prepared to. But then of course eating spicy food is not eating spicy food, even if you're Desi. I think, I feel like that's like more of like a differential kind of thing among Desis too, like actually eating spicy food and sweating. I sweat more in humidity than I do when I'm eating spicy food. When I'm eating spicy food, I feel it, but then when I'm in humidity, I show it. I actively show like my forehead and my cheeks and my everything is just sweating. So I don't know why that is. Like when I'm eating spicy food, I can feel it, but then I don't show it as much. It's just like it's a whole thing. So, but them actually showing that was really good too. And even her checking later on the scene, asking is the biryani spicy? So. Pretty sure you can get spicy biryani. I think I think it probably kind of depends on how you cook it. I think I definitely I definitely do kind of like in the past, like the first few times I think I had biryani, I think it might have been kind of slightly spicy. I think again it depends on how you cook it, but overall, but then the fact that it's biryani makes it a good spicy. It's just can't recommend it enough. Honestly, can't recommend it enough. Just if you haven't had biryani, do it. You'll only be doing yourself a favour. You will only be doing yourself a favour. So, yeah, that was, And yeah, then Nani too. Our first time meeting Nani face to face too, not just like in zoomed in kind of phase ins and outs on the phone camera on FaceTime as well. Like actually our first time seeing her in person, and she is amazing. She's gorgeous and sweet and wholesome, and she's fully supportive of Kamala, kind of taking the time while she's in Pakistan to actually kind of like search the history and the secrets and the truth behind the Bangle and the truth behind her power. Like she is that kind of Nani. She's that Nani. So she is just like the most kind of wholesome, kind of most empowering, kind of motivator. She's like, go, chase your dreams, find the truth about who you are, search your power, become who you're meant to be, and all that kind of stuff. Everyone needs a Nani like that in their lives. So yeah, again, her conversation with Kamala about like her history and everything, like her identity, kind of past her history and everything in the country, like actually kind of having again the Pakistani passport and then the Indian roots, and like actually being kind of conflicted with her past and actually trying to figure out who she is and being who she is and doing all that stuff, and actually living in this country and actually kind of living in a country post kind of everything, post colonial rule, post partition, post crisis, post tragedy, and all that kind of stuff, and still kind of having so little kind of like left to kind of go on, but still fighting, because then she still has her daughter, she still has her like her extended kind of like her her family and everything. So she definitely still has like stuff to go on, and still has family left to live for. But it's still hard for her. It's still really, really hard for her. I think, especially like if you know that kind of backstory, and if you know just kind of like how big of an effect and how big of an impact that's kind of had on her as a person, and even people like her too, and even people in real life too. I think then it kind of definitely does make you a lot more kind of empathetic and make you more understanding of like where she's coming from, and also maybe even that's like why she is the way she is too, because then even herself, she's had so many different kind of crises and personal kind of identity issues and history issues and everything with her own life. So then the last thing she wants to do is actually have Kamala be forced to choose to. I think she wants Kamala to go out there and find out the truth, to find that power, to search for the power, search what it means, and see what control and ownership over the Bangle actually means for her too. Because then she wants Kamala to be able to find her truth and to live her truth and to live as who she is and not be afraid and not be kind of torn apart by two different worlds and everything, and by two different kind of sets of backgrounds and everything. So she wants the best for Kamala in that way. and everything. So I think seeing that kind of means a lot more, and actually kind of stands to mean a lot more too. So it's just the sweetest thing. It's honestly the sweetest and most painful thing. So really hoping they actually kind of do continue the kind of Nani. So I mean, basically ending they kind of have to, but then just in like a different format, and in like a different kind of timeline and everything. So yeah, but Nani in this episode was the best. She was the best, and even keeping the old toffee box, and even actually kind of having some actual toffees actually left on standby too. Standby, just like actually having them left kind of stored away too for Ammi and Kamala to eat too. Was really great. So actually her just kind of being there, being present, being loving, being supportive, being wholesome. You know, she's the Nani that would easily kind of actually encourage you and like actually kind of encourage you to prioritize your dreams and prioritize who you are and what you want to be and what you are and all that kind of stuff. First and foremost, like she's that kind of Nani. So just you gotta love her. You gotta protect her. Hoping, praying and hoping and wishing nothing bad happens to Nani in this series. You know, just keep her alive and safe and as wholesome as she is, and keep her as lovely as she is, and everything will be fine. Everything will be just fine if you keep her just the way she is. So yeah, one wish, one job right there. So yeah. But then Ammi also did have her own little kind of story about how she and Abu I think maybe it kind of can be kind of assumed, maybe. I actually don't know if no, well, I don't know. I think, because I can't remember. I think even last episode, I can't remember if she actually mentioned that she got married before or after she left. If she left Pakistan, because I can kind of see her still being able to get married after she left Pakistan. Actually went to America, but then I feel like it's probably more likely that she got married in Pakistan and then went to America and then had Amir and then stuff started happening that way. I think she didn't really kind of mention in this one either. I think she mentioned Baba, which is father, so I think her father, and I think how even he left Nani as well. But then yeah, she was apparently kind of shunned by the neighbours and friends and everything because of Nani's kind of crazy kind of theories and her wild stories and theories and everything. So then her story is probably about the bangle and like how her mother owned it and like the world and stuff it came from. So maybe even stuff that she knew that she started kind of talking about, but then no one really believed her or thought she was just like some kind of crazy old lady or something. So then that kind of led to me being shunned. So then because of that, then she also, I think especially like being back in that time too, being like even them kind of like the kind of country still kind of actually trying to grow and thrive from the tragedy it was just faced with and everything, and then like Ammi having to grow up with that and actually having to deal with that trauma and deal with conflicts happening even still after soon after that too, but then also kind of growing up to having to deal with people disagreeing with Nani and actually kind of shunning her and shunning them and everything can't have been easy. So then that's why then she, well, at least one of the reasons why she actually kind of felt like she needed that change to go to America and everything. So and then yeah, we meet the Red Daggers. Cool name, can't lie, pretty cool name. And even the ensemble and the outfit and the weapons. I mean, they do have daggers. They had like throwing knives and throwing daggers and everything, which was really cool. So they had that and the little cool kind of neck scarves that cover the mouth and everything. So that was cool. I literally thought it would be like some kind of assassin group or some kind of like fighting kind of troop or group or something. But it was just the two of them. I think it was just the two of them. So I mean, but then he did mention like it was actually like it was like a mantle that was picked up by each new fighter and everything, so then could easily be something that kind of traces back to generations and everything, maybe even at the like maybe soon after the partition, or soon, like maybe even like almost as early as the bangles kind of usage and stuff in India and everything, so could have easily been traced back to then. But it was we met Walid, the pretty much the kind of leader and like the kind of mentor of Karim and everything. So he actually kind of said that it was actually that their job was to protect the world from unseen threats, but most notably from Noor, from the Noor dimension and everything. So a bit of like history lesson from him and like a bit of like a kind of story kind of lesson from him regarding the world of Noor and all the kind of threats it kind of poses and the danger it poses and everything. So yeah, there's like an invisible kind of barrier called the Veil of Noor that protects the real world from, or at least like their dimension from the Noor dimension and everything. So they're still sticking with the Noor stuff. They're still sticking with the Noor and all that alternate dimension stuff and everything. So that's interesting to say the least. I mean, because I think the fact that they're actively kind of fleshing out and actively trying to make it like a legitimate thing, I think kind of goes to show that like I think it may have seemed like they were shying away from the Inhuman stuff on the one hand, but then actually having someone else confirm to you, having someone else with knowledge and expertise and some history with that kind of threat and that kind of alternate existence and everything kind of does go to show like, okay, like if more people are saying it, then you know, I feel like maybe there actually is some like truth. I mean, again, it's like it's not to deny the Inhuman stuff, because then they're not saying they haven't actively kind of questioned that she's Inhuman, but then denied it or anything. But then they've instead actually they've instead opted to make it so that like it's like, you know, oh, Inhuman stuff might be real, you know. That could very easily be a thing, but right now this is to do with the North. This is actually with the North. So then they're like actually kind of pretty much then just kind of sidelining what already exists, which, I mean, in regards to stuff like Shield, wouldn't be the first time. But then, so sidelining what already exists and stuff, because they're not really kind of sure how to approach it just yet, and they're not really sure how to maybe do it or something. And then instead, like, doing what they know how to do, and then actually kind of like creating something new, and expanding upon that, and establishing that within the universe. So, yeah, so that's interesting. That's interesting. So yeah, so sticking with the North stuff, and even like the Veil of Noor being the protective wall and everything. So then the Bangle, I think he mentioned that the Bangle has the power to actually break, to actually kind of in doing, the Bangle does indeed have the power to return Najma and her people back to their other dimension. But then in doing so, it could actually easily break down, because then more power is required, and more power could do more damage. So then that would mean that breaking down the Veil of Noor could easily allow threats from the Noor dimension to pass over, but then even like the kind of visual showed the Noor dimension completely overtaking their world and actually kind of engulfing it and actually kind of transforming it into their own. So I think after watching Multiverse of Madness, it really kind of remind me, because then if it really is like an alternate dimension / universe or whatever, then kind of made me wonder, like, you know, they're actually kind of like indirectly kind of hinting at multiverse stuff here. Like, is it like an actual other kind of universe? Because then they still look human. They still very easily look human, and there was no mention of them actually donning human disguises or donning human appearances in order to fit in or anything. There was no mention of that. So then could easily be that they actually do come from like another universe where they're like humanoids, or where they're like humans, or like with enhancements or powers or something. So it could very much be that that's the case. Then that kind of stuff made me think, oh, it could easily be like an alternate universe. But then by breaking down the barrier and actually kind of allowing both worlds to collide, it could be similar. It could be similar to an incursion from Multiverse of Madness, where one or both universes are destroyed. So in this case, the Noor dimension is more powerful. It contains more power. It contains the Noor and everything. So then that would kind of overpower their world and actually kind of engulf that, and actually, but then in Noor's case, it could actually kind of like, it actually created more structures that were from that dimension, so then that could actually easily turn their world more into the Noor dimension. So yes, means trouble for their universe, because then they're kind of, I mean, means trouble for their dimension, because then either the planet or the universe could easily be taken over by the Noor and everything. So that's I suppose bad news. He called her clandestine, but then she also brought up the term Jinn too, and then he said like, oh, Jinn is just kind of like somewhat like a relative term. Like if Thor landed in the Himalayas, then he would also be called Jinn. So it's just like Jinn is pretty much like in that context, it's essentially just like a way of actually labeling something as different or different looking, or labeling something as like something you're kind of deterred from, or kind of actually kind of something unusual, like if Thor landed in the Himalayas, he would very easily kind of be called like a Jinn, or something to be wary of, or something to be considered different. But then Thor and his people instead became the MCU's kind of version of like the MCU's inspiration for Norse mythology, actual kind of like alien kind of beings with this power and everything, became kind of inscripted into Earth's history as Norse mythology. So there's that. So yeah. So then I think he said like, you know, like the term Jinn can be applicable based on the person encountering the clandestine, but then it's also a relative term, because then that's just like the way that they were used, that they're actually described. But then clandestine is still maybe like the official term or something. So safe to say like 90 to 95% of what they do in the MCU, be it in the movies or in the series or whatever, is easily like taking inspiration from to taking stuff already from the comics, taking inspiration from the comics and adapting it to fit the MCU. So that thing, nothing to say that like clandestine or not, there's nothing to say that even the clandestines are not like comic accurate, or even something from the comics. I think I haven't personally read like anything about like I mean, again, I haven't read many kind of Marvel comics to begin with, but then so because of that, I can't be sure that clandestine isn't already like a pre-existing thing of like a similar formula or like a similar background within the comics that they're using instead for this. Maybe again, like maybe they're kind of like maybe they're not fully ready, or fully like haven't fully thought about approaching Inhuman stuff just yet. And like they tried it and tested it and got lucky with Black Bolt, because then he's the arguably much bigger hero. So then maybe that's the green light for them to do kind of Shield stuff and Inhuman stuff in the future too. you know, again, I think that being like another universe too, like that's like another universe with its own kind of established history and its own kind of established stuff going on. So nothing to really kind of delve into there, nothing to really kind of build off of. But it's like the kind of slightest mentions. But then for here, it's like, you know, like then they would have to. But then of course, like it's like if and when they're ready, like what they decide to include, how they decide to include it, how they decide to like canonize anything or reintroduce anything is like down to their planning. But then with Clandestines, I think that could very easily be something from the comics, and if it is, then it's something that hasn't been touched before, it's something that hasn't been used or referenced anyway before. So then because of that, it gives them a lot more leeway to actually kind of introduce something new and flesh it out as they know how to do and everything. So I think then I might need to actually kind of go on and Google what Clandestines are, and if they're actually in the Marvel comics and what they can do, and if they're any similar to how they're being presented here and everything. So yeah, I think that could be like a little bit of like a research lesson on its own. So yeah, and he could even read the inscription too. I think while he did actually kind of read the inscription on the bangle too, which said what you seek is seeking you, which is again is you know, it has the classic kind of mystery twist and the mystery kind of notion to it, and everything has the kind of classic kind of cryptic messaging kind of stuff woven into it and everything. So that was really cool. But yeah, I think thinking more about that too, I feel like this like it means that this it definitely does then feel like it means that this might just be that kind of a story where it's like, you know, Kamala is actually fighting so hard to find out what the hidden truth and history behind this bangle is, and what it means for her, and like what kind of power it grants for her, and like what it means for her as a person and how she's meant to use it and everything. But then it's like, well, what you seek is seeking you, so then she's seeking the answers and she's seeking the truth to this power and how it works and everything. But then those same answers, that same maybe even the origins of the bangle are actually seeking her too. So then maybe that's what that can very easily tie into the ending too, because then I feel like again Nani's kind of most kind of vivid description of that night that she lost her father on the train and actually got reunited with him, but then she reunited with him by actually seeing like a trail of stars that allowed her to follow him back. I mean, so then like if you really simplify it, that could easily mean she saw like a trail of stars that shone really brightly in the sky, and that led her back to them. But then in the context of Ms. Marvel and the powers that be and everything, it could also very easily mean that like she saw like an actual trail of cosmic kind of stars, to like the stars that come out of the bangles and everything, and then that led her back to her father and everything. So then, and especially like with the ending being the ending to like Kamala having travelled back to 47, back to the partition, actually being in Karachi station and seeing all of that kind of commotion and all that kind of that kind of tragedy behind it around her too. I think like that night being the night, like the actual last train out of Karachi being the one to actually kind of help Nani kind of find her way back to her father again. I feel like we're going to see that, but then also with Kamala having, I mean, I kind of do wonder like if that means that like Kamala's going to be the only one with the bangle in that situation, or maybe if Kamala's going to maybe see, maybe like either, I feel like maybe like on the one hand it would be pretty emotional it would be pretty emotional to actually kind of have Kamala meeting her own young Nani and actually kind of actually being the person who helps her get back, actually kind of providing her with the stars and the pathway to help her find her father. It would be pretty kind of symbolic to see, but then more so like for the sake of Kamala discovering her own identity, because then that would then imply that maybe she had like she actually suddenly knows how to use the powers and actually kind of like has everything figured out. But I think maybe more symbolic and maybe more useful for Kamala might be her actually going back in time, and then because then it's like she's also like literally like a passenger in this timeline too. Like she could very easily go back with the bangle and actually kind of then also end up meeting. Maybe she might see that Aisha is the one who's actually helping Nani back. Maybe maybe Aisha's in the background, or she's hidden away and she's actually seeing her own, like she's seeing her daughter actually having trouble finding her husband and like the father and everything. So then maybe she's hidden away in the background, like wearing a hood, or like just hidden away as like an actual bystander, and then she's actually seeing her daughter kind of running through the crowd trying to find her father, and then she actually provides, maybe if she still has the bangles at that time, maybe she's providing the path and then the actual starlight to see her again. So then maybe that gives Kamala the opportunity to actually kind of meet Aisha herself, and maybe that kind of gives her the opportunity to actually learn from the original owner of the bangle, in human terms anyway. So that could be like a really cool thing to see. So I guess I think that might be then like so then you know but then it was like it was that fight with Najman and her kind of cohorts that got her sent back to that time, like the actual spear hitting the bangle and breaking the barriers and sending her crashing back through time too. But then it's like, again, the Bangles vision led her to Karachi, so then for all we know, like, if clairvoyancy or, like, if, like, foresight could be, would it be, I think probably foresight, I think, if foresight and clairvoyancy could also be involved with this, like, if like in the past Aisha kind of maybe has an idea of how her future turns out, maybe she actually knows who picks up her bangles in the future, but then still needs some help actually figuring it out. Maybe then she can actually kind of send those visions in. Maybe she can actually kind of send those visions in as little blips through the time stream and make that, and maybe that's why Kamala's been seeing things, and maybe that's why she's been seeing Najma, and then she's been seeing the train to Karachi and everything, and then even Nani saw it too. Even Nani saw it, and then her knowing how important that bangle and the power behind it is too. Maybe then that's why Nani knows to bring Kamala to Pakistan to have her kind of go through everything too. So then it's like a chain reaction of events actually leading her back to where she needs to be able to send back in time, and then because then she needs to actually go back in time in order to meet her, because then for whatever reason Aisha just like despite being exactly like them, Aisha can't really kind of be in the present day, or she just like no one really knows where she is or what's happened to her. So then the only way to really kind of rectify that is to actually have Kamala being sent back in time, and it also gives her the opportunity to actually kind of see her history and her family's history firsthand too, seeing that kind of tragedy take place firsthand, and actually kind of putting things into perspective, and meeting Aisha on that same night as well. So, man, I think the next episode might just be a big one. The next episode might just be a whopper. So, and yeah, of course, then we also had Najma and co minus Kamran escaping from the Supermax and everything, so they all escape, but then she explicitly said leave Kamran behind, because then he made his choice and then she made him live with it, because then he went ahead and warned Kamala about what was about to happen, so then he actively sided against them and their plans too, so then she left them behind, so then chances are he either got lucky and he either got very lucky and managed to escape his life and went somewhere else, but went back to Jersey City, or he's probably still in there and he's still probably having the worst time of his life. So either one of those parts could be true, but either way, they escaped. And again, yeah, I think the very first shot that showed the outside of the Supermax prison too, I could be wrong, but because I don't even know if they actually kind of referenced it in the trailer. I don't know if they actually kind of actually had like a thing. I mean, obviously in trailers they won't have subtitles. In trailers they won't have like a location cards or anything like that. That'll be safe for the actual kind of product itself, for the final product itself. But pretty sure from the shot they showed and even the structure of the building itself, pretty sure it's the same Supermax prison that was showed in the She-Hulk trailer. Like the actual kind of external building structure and everything, like the actual main building structure and everything, seemed very, very kind of similar to what we saw in She-Hulk, and we know that with She-Hulk too, she's actually being promoted and asked by her boss to be the new face of the Superhuman Law Division. So I think, yeah, so then of course we also know that Tim Roth, aka Tim Roth the actor, but the Emil Blonsky, aka Abomination from Hulk, is actually going to be returning in that series too. So I think that might have been our first kind of glimpse, that first like kind of slightest glimpse at the Supermax prison that they're going to be using for that too. I think it being a Supermax prison too, they're actually going to they're very, very specifically kind of like tasked with dealing with enhanced people and people with powers and people with the people with the normal kind of security and stuff can't handle. Ergo their interference with Najma and her cohorts and everything. So that was like a cool glimpse of what's to come. So yeah, I feel like again, either he could get really lucky and escape with his own life, and maybe then as a result he'd probably go to America and probably go to America, that's still in America, go back to Jersey City, but then actually kind of help try and warn Bruno and then Naki of what's happening and what's been going on, and probably try and get them to help with Kamala and anything else that might happen too. So then he could easily do that, or he could probably end up if he doesn't get as lucky, then he could probably, because I think he was still injured or like still dazed out or something from what happened. So then yeah, I think it all depends, but. Yeah, because then if he's left behind, I really can't be sure that they might spend any time doing like a prison rescue. I mean, they might do if any of them actually find out what's going on, because then I don't know if there's gonna be any mention or anything. But either he escapes or they have to rescue him at some point. So whichever one comes first. So. Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much the story with Najma. I think Najma killed Wally too. Wally, I feel like maybe even Wally, like I think given how experienced and how knowledgeable he is and all the stuff too, I felt like he was way too experienced. I felt like he was way too kind of good at what he does to just kind of be caught in the blunder. I feel like he actively did sacrifice his life to make sure that Kamala and Kareem actually did manage to get away safely too. And he actively turned his back and let down his guard and did all that stuff too. So then that allowed Najma to get the drop on him. But then, to be fair, I think after that too, Kareem did manage to take down one of Najma's men too. So fair wins on both sides. And then then the time travel stuff happened. So. But yeah, that car chase as a whole was really fun to see, and even using her powers to save people and still get them across, and that whole kind of sequence was just really fun to see. And the music interwoven throughout the entire episode, but then actually still kind of changing to fit the tone and fit the different kinds of scenes they had going on, was just really well done. So everything in that regard about this episode just executed really, really well. So very, 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 very much enjoyed. So yeah, but yeah, as of right now, that is pretty much all I've got from this episode. All my initial thoughts and all my initial kind of reactions points from this episode have been included. So yeah, it was really fun. I'm really happy with the way that this show is going, with the series is going. So I'm really I mean, I would say I'm really happy that I'm really hoping that they would actually greenlight it for season 2. But then of course we do get more of Iman Vellani as Kamala and Ms. Marvel in the Marvel suit that's coming up, I think maybe next year or like sometime. So we do still get that. But then again, if they do still want to do like another kind of Kamala solo project or something, then I'd be all the happy to take that in too. So yeah, it's really fun. It's really good. It's really fun. It's really enjoyable and everything. So I'm really happy with the way things are going and how they're kind of exploring things and how they're displaying things and all that kind of stuff. So I can't wait to see how the story continues next week and everything. So should be fun. Should be really fun. So yeah, that was Ms. Marvel Season 1, Episode number 4. So thank you guys, as always, so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then feel free to leave a like and comment on what you thought and how you felt about this episode and what you're looking forward to in next week's installment and everything. For those interested, the full-length reaction will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that over there. And yeah, that is pretty much it. So until the next time, bye bye for now.